computer. All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
Hello. Ignacy and Portal Games.
And this is the Podfather of Gaming, Stephen Bonacore. You are listening to Board Games Insider, episode 208. Wow. And we're recording it on September 1st, 2021. Board Games Insider is a proud member of the Dice Tower Network, and Tom Vassell always finds a way to get revenge on me. In this case, I will have to wake up before 6 a.m. tomorrow to be on Board Game Breakfast with him at 10 a.m. Eastern, since I am once again on the West Coast of the USA in Pacific time. Specifically, I'm back in Vegas, baby, Vegas. Doesn't that sound like a first world problem, Ignacy? But still, 6 a.m. I got to get up. Terrible.
I just want to say that I adjusted my timeline to fit you. I'm so much better than Tom, right?
100%. That's right. I said, Ignacy, can we just delay the recording for 3 hours so I can do it at the usual time for me, 10 a.m., which is what we do on Eastern time when I'm there. It is 10 a.m. Pacific time. So Ignacy, he waited until dinner time to do this with me. So I appreciate it very much. Tom, he won't change things for me. Then again,
Tom, you can better. You can better.
He could be better. He could be a better man, right? Ignacy, tell us what's happening at Portal Games now that you're back from your vacation, which you don't even take vacations. Poor Mary finally got you to go on a vacation. I hope you didn't complain the whole time. What's going on, man?
Oh, I did. I'm back. Yes, things are happening. So first of all, when you're listening to this episode 11, our Football Manager board game is on GameFound. To remind everyone, this is an economy strategy economy game with a very unique theme, because we are running the sports club and we are going to hire staff, we are going to hire players, we are going to set the tactics for the match, we are going to build infrastructure and invest in your stadium and your offices. You are going to sell players to earn some money, you are going to train them to sell them as well. So full-blown strategy game with the theme of sports. I'd like to invite everyone to check out our page, the gamefound.com for 11. Maybe it is something interesting for you. There is a ton of reviewers who are doing the previews and gameplays, so you can check their opinion on the project. And I want to remind everyone that a few years ago, I did a game about the fashion, and it was a solid, heavy Euro game. So this time again, I'm picking a very unique theme that is a sport, but I'm providing you a great strategy game about running your own business, like in a Prêt-à-Porter, but this time this business is a sport. I'm a huge fan for the sport, and we'll see what will happen. As we are recording, the campaign haven't started yet, but when you listen, it will be on. So once again, 11 Football Manager board game on GameFound. This is what's happening. My brag of the week, yesterday we released the final photos of the final components of Dreadful Circus, the new game from Bruno Faidutti that we are releasing in this Essen, and the feedback was amazing. I must admit that we had a great photographer to do these photos. They look absolutely stunning, but the production value of the game is stellar, and I think I'm calling it right now. It may be a contender for the best artwork for the next year Golden Geek.
Wow.
I absolutely love the production. It looks absolutely amazing. I was not involved, obviously. I'm not an artist. This is my team who did it. Amazing job. Thank you for the feedback. Thank you for all the likes and comments, for everyone who just said, like, I need to have this game. I don't know anything about this game, but it looks stunning. I just want it in my collection. So check out the photos on Board Game Geek, and we will see what will happen next year, if it has had the chance for the artwork and presentation for the Golden Geek. But it looks amazing. And my pre-orders and street dates on September 2nd, so in tomorrow, as we are recording, the whole package of Neuroshima products. They will be released. Neuroshima Hex, the Year of the Moloch edition, a small print run. I know from Luke from Portal Games USA, it is already sold out. So guys, you need to check out your favorite local game store in our warehouse at our level, publisher level, and the product is already sold out. And Neuroshima Hex Beasts, new army for Neuroshima Hex, also releasing. And what's happening at H-Quarter? Well, first of all, Pledge Manager for Robinson Crusoe is open. So if you missed early this year our campaign, crowdfunding campaign for Robinson Crusoe. It is your last moment to join the late pledge. So go to GameFound, find Robinson Crusoe, and you can do a late pledge. This weekend, on Sunday, I'm doing a charity live stream. I'm going to live stream for 12 hours straight. And we are yes, and we are going to auction a ton of games and gadgets for the games, like prototypes, pieces, and for charity. So we are gathering money for 12 hours. It's gonna be silly fun. And the next podcast I will report how much money we gathered for the charity. I'm very excited. Marek is also very excited. My guy who is doing the whole YouTube stuff, because he's going to work on Sunday, so he was very grateful for the opportunity, for my great ideas. But I think it's gonna be fun, just silly fun, and just auctioning games and gathering money. And then next week I'm going to Germany to meet my partners in Freiburg from Pegasus Spiele to brainstorm the next year cooperation and what we are preparing for German market. And then there is an Essen, and there's a playtesting. Things are happening. So I came back from vacation, and I'm really busy. And my last update here is my daily vlog. I want to remind everyone that I'm doing the experiment, recording 100 vlogs for 100 days. Every single day we have a new vlog on our YouTube channel, Portal Games YouTube channel. And just to tell you what was happening in the past few days, for instance, yesterday I recorded a video presenting the behind the scenes shooting and information about the trailer for Dreadful Circus, so how we created the trailer for the game. The day before I was presenting all 20 armies for Neuroshima Hex. The day before I was presenting the whole suitcase of handouts for my role-playing game session. So every day we are doing something completely different. Check out YouTube channel and see every single day new video. These videos are about 5-7 minutes, very short, very fun. And the last thing, of course, Gen Con is around the corner. This is the phrase. The Gen Con is around the corner, very close, correct?
Yes, it is.
And I want to invite everyone who is going to Gen Con to check out our event, $1 Million Script, a launch party, Thursday, 7 p.m. It is even run by Stephen, who will be the producer. And we have the whole gang of amazing people from the industry, vloggers, YouTubers, reviewers, influencers, right, playing the game with you guys. So you're gonna have a fun. We are going to film this, obviously, for all of you who are not going to Gen Con. So check out all the links on our website.
Yeah. So just to go a little further, make sure that if you're going to Gen Con and you want to be part of this amazing $1 Million script launch party, Thursday, 7 p.m., go and get a ticket for that. That $2 goes to Gen Con, but we want to pack the room, and there are a few tickets left. So please do it and watch the craziness that will be myself, Daniel Stam, the designer, who's a Hollywood director who designed this game, Paula Deming, Z Garcia, Rob Rouse of Blue Peg, Pink Peg, David Wainbright of Man vs. Meeple, Russ Wakelin of the D6 generation. It's going to be absolutely amazing. So come check it out, 7 o'clock on Thursday at Gen Con. Get a ticket. So over here at the Podfather of Gaming, first of all, I want to mention again that I did this epic nerd off episode 1 with Corey Thompson of the Dice Tower. You really got to go to my YouTube channel and watch this, where we have Lord of the Rings epic nerd off between the two of us. Who knows more? And 3 guest celebrities from the Lord of the Rings show up and they tell who they think knows more about Lord of the Rings and all things Tolkien, either Corey Thompson or myself. It was hysterical to put it all together. Maybe the most expensive streaming event of all time, because you got to pay, actors to be there. So it was a lot of fun, though. So check it out. I really think that you'll like it if you haven't seen it already. So I just got back from the gathering of friends. I was tweeting and Facebooking from there.
I saw a ton of photos. Yep.
Ignacy, real sorry that you couldn't be there. Of course, this year it's crazy to even try to get to, an event like that. But it was really amazing. And specifically for me, where normally at the gathering of friends every year, I would do things like all day Monday is my
Me too.
2F spiel a day. And I'd be sequestered in like a room playing all the games that we were going to bring out with them at Essen, or, later in the year, Essen usually. And then Tuesday would be my Lauter Pellet day. And the entire day I'd be in a room with them. And it was like meeting. Exactly. It was meeting after meeting after meeting. It was crazy. So this year, no meetings. My only meetings were, hey, we're going to go to dinner, on Tuesday night. So I made a reservation for us, and, we'll have lunch on Wednesday. And that was it. And of course, arranging games. It was by far my best experience at the Gathering of Friends, just because I had nothing to do except game, eat, and drink. Probably gained weight. Damn it. But it was a great time. Some of the highlights of my gaming: Scout. I'm going to show you the game. It's sitting right next to me. Oops, I just hit that light. Scout is a ladder climbing game not released in the USA or anywhere except in Japan. See, it's all in Japanese on the back. So no one's heard of it yet, except for Corey Thompson. I keep mentioning the guy who found this game somehow and now has been buying like mass quantities and just sending them to people. He sent me 4 copies. And then, of course, I gave away 3 of them to some friends of mine at the Gathering. And it was like the biggest, most played game, I think, at the Gathering of Friends. It's ladder climbing. It's brilliant. You're going to hear a lot about this the same way that you predicted successfully that Micro Macro would be like game of the year or be nominated. I'm predicting that Scout is going to be like one of the most talked about games between now and when it gets released, because it's really, really good, fast, and just a great take on ladder climbing. Other great games I played: Cascadia, which is beautiful. It's a puzzle game, so to speak, where you have to get landscape cards and animal cards and put them on your tableau of cards that you're building, and the animals will score you points at the end of the game based on if they're in a line, like you have to have your salmon be in a kind of a straight line, or they have to be going in one direction, and bears want to stay together. So you have to figure out how you're going to best do it. Gorgeous game. It's about the Pacific Northwest of the US and then above that in Canada. So all of that beautiful kind of scenery and those kinds of animals show up. Fantastic game. Check out Cascadia. And then I played Dice Realms with, which is not released yet. I did that with the designer Tom Lehman, and it's a dice building game. Like physically, you change the dice faces. And this is something that got done, I don't know, a few years back.
Dice Forge, I think it was from
Dice Forged. Was that it? It was done. It was done another one, but this one and the way that Tom implemented this is brilliant. I loved every minute of it. It even comes with a little tool to go knock out the faces and change the faces up. I think this is another game you're going to be hearing a lot about. The price point on it's pretty high, but I loved it so much. I pre-ordered it online. Dice Realms, Tom Lehman, coming out from Rio Grande Games in November. Some of the games I was not a fan of, I'll mention them. I mean, they'll definitely be good for some people. Calico, which has got this beautiful cat on the cover, but it's about making quilts, which is fine. Cats come and lay on your quilts. But it was so brain burny of a puzzle game. And in contrast to Cascadia, which is so light and fun, I was like, Paula loved it. And I'm like, I'll never play this with you. I get it. I'm not playing it. It's just my head will not, I just can't do it.
Shame on you.
Shame. I'm not doing it. And Meadows too. Tom and Z loved the game, and I just was not a fan. So, you might like it. Both of them are kind of puzzle games, and that's not usually my thing, but Cascadia those were not as much. So those are the ones that I played mostly. There was a whole bunch more.
I have a follow-up question.
Yeah.
I saw the picture that you played Dark Moon.
Yeah, baby.
Did you win or lose?
The good guys won, and I was on the good guys team. Yes, indeed. Everybody thought that I was, of course, the Cylon or the infected in the case of Dark Moon. It was a great game. We all was screaming at each other, of course, as usual. I put more bad dice into the pool than good dice over the course of the game. I just kept rolling 4 dice, all negatives, 3 dice, all negatives. Everybody thought I was infected, so they stayed away from me, but the good guys, I was a good guy, and we did win. Also played a great game of Advanced Civilization, right? Old school. But that game really holds up. I mean, the mechanics, it's not, people think of it's like a war game. It's really not. It's a huge area control game and trading game. Had a great time playing with Jeff Engelstein. Jason Levine was there. Oh my goodness, Robert Geislinger.
I thought there was a whole table of people. Like there was many of you.
Yeah, absolutely. Alan Ernston was there. It was awesome. Fun game. Let me jump down to my remodeling project. I mean, the main floor is finally done. By the time that you hear this, I will have posted pictures of the finished product, which looks just so great. I'll show you that on my Facebook account. Our landscaping project is done. We're now just waiting to do and put in the outdoor kitchen. It was ordered, so which is a bar and barbecue kind of thing outside. And now, of course, because we are gluttons for punishment, we're going to start the second project, which is the upstairs bathrooms. I don't know. I mean, I like to.
We hope for some disasters. We hope for that.
Thank you, Tom. Appreciate your positivity there. And by the way, as an aside, while I was here in Vegas, I realized that a board game table company is here in Las Vegas, their headquarters. So I went over to Game Theory Tables in Las Vegas, and I spent a lot of money on a new game table, which will be delivered in December. Nice, but I'm going to give them a big shout out. GameTheoryTables.com. I paid the full price for it. They had a great sale, but I paid the price. I'm not getting anything from them for mentioning this, but the table is amazing. Big, chunky, very modern looking. It's going to look great in my game room. So check them out. The Origins, it's called Game Table from GameTheoryTables.com. On my cons again, I just told you about the gathering. I'm in Vegas, and the reason I'm here has basically nothing to do with gaming. I'm here to see BattleBots, the TV show. They're filming it now. Gil Hover just flew out with his girlfriend Carrie, and we're going tonight to see Bree Goldman and Crystal Dax. We're going over to Bree's place just to do some gaming, and then the next 3 days after that, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we have tickets for the entire day. It's going to be 8 hours of fighting robots. I just can't believe how crazy this is going to be. I'm a big freak for this show. It's on the Discovery Channel. If people have never seen it, they've had 10 seasons so far of this thing, and they get better and better because the robots get better and better, and they just destroy each other. And, it's like sort of like Last Robot Standing kind of thing. Just an amazing, amazing experience that I believe that we'll have certainly on TV. It's amazing. So, and Gil is a complete freak for this. So he knows like every name of every robot, every builder, everything. So going with him is going to be epically fun. Then after this, I go home. We go to the Dice Tower Retreat 2 days later after I get home. That's down in Miami. I get to see Tom again and the gang, and people are flying in from all over the place and coming in. I can't wait to see old friends, make some new friends down there in Miami for the Dice Tower Retreat #1 for this year. And then you roll basically right into Gen Con after that. Unbelievable. I'm going to mention 2 things because I've been talking about Origins and I've been talking about SN, and I really wanted to go to both, but for Origins, it just was too much stuff. And to go to another convention that is going to be smaller 2 weeks later, I'm not going to go. I've just decided literally over the last few days, maybe I have to pull one convention off the US schedule, and that's Origins. Sorry, everybody that I would see out there. Hopefully I'll see most of you at Gen Con. but I'm not going to make Origins. And the second thing is I'm going to cancel my Essen trip. And Ignacy, I'm really sorry because I won't get to see you now on that trip. But the EU has just said they've recommended to suspend all non-essential travel from the US. So I may not even be able to get there anyway. I know that, I could theoretically have gone as an essential business, travel. I could have said, hey, Travis, I know you going. So, I'll tell them that it's a business trip. I could have. But again, the experience is just not going to be the same thing. So many people I know are not going. So many companies are not going. So many demos you can't take in booths. So it's not going to happen this year. It'll happen next year. So Ignacy, apologies to you and to any friends out there that I won't be able to make that one.
Yep. Fully understandable.
Yeah. Well, that was long. Sorry about that. Let's get right over to the event deck. So the first piece of news here is to say it's odd would be an understatement, I think, in my opinion, and there'll be more of what I talk about later in the show. But reported on Board Game Geek and in various places, it says that Sophie Gravel is again to lead Z-Man Games. So Eric Martin reported that in 2016, Sophie Gravel sold F2Z Entertainment, a Canadian publisher distributor that owned Z-Man Games, Philosophia Editions, and Pretzel Games, and Plaid Hat Game Studios to Asmodee. Less than a year later, she launched Plan B Games, was more like immediately, which debuted with Century Spice Road and then struck gold at the end of 2017 with Mikkel Kiesling's Azul, which has sold more than 2 million copies. In March 2021, Gravel sold Plan B Games, which had acquired Eggertspiele in mid-2017 and which included the studio Next Move Games and Pretzel Games, again, to Asmodee. The press release issued at the time included this quote from Stefan Carvel, CEO of the Asmodee Group, quote, "We are very pleased that Sophie Gravel and her team, with whom we have developed a close partnership through the years, will be joining our group and participating in the development of our games catalog." So Ignacy, any comments from you before I say anything?
I'd like to congratulate Sophie in a new position. I'd like to say that I was surprised with the turn of the events. I'm entertained with how the things are rolling out. And I think that Z-Man Games is in good hands because we have to mention that Sophie is very successful running company. So it is good for the company, I guess. But it was a very, very big surprise for me.
Well, first of all, yes, it was a very big surprise. And to see that Asmodee would hire her to run Z-Man after she immediately started a new company where it was alleged that she had games ready to go immediately with the new company, alleged by people within Asmodee and others, is extremely surprising. Well, I'm not going to comment more on this story other than, as you can probably hear from my voice, that it's odd and well, I say to you, listen to the end of the show, post the final scoring, because last episode I said that I promised I would tell the Great Western Trail story. And since that's not current news, stay tuned for later. I don't think you want to miss it.
And just to give a little bit of the context once more, because this is what we are doing. Yes, we are trying to explain what's happening.
Yep.
Just a few weeks ago, we reported that Z-Man Games is closing the whole line of Euro games. Do I remember that Steve Kimball left the company, right? That was that we reported.
He went
no longer.
He's no longer with the Z-Man studio. He went to special projects.
Yep. And they said that they're closing Euro games because these games are no longer popular. And then the big twist that Sophie is coming to save Z-Man.
Yeah, save. Well, I mean, and the one thing I will add to this, as which you implied, is that she knows how to make money. This much is for sure. So that's it. Listen to the end of the show. Well, what's the next thing we have here? Reiner Knizia. You know him. Everybody knows him. Boy, did he get angry. So Lost Cities designer terminates all planned releases with Grail Games, Matago, and Colossal Games due to contract breaches. Quote, these publishers no longer have the rights to sell our games. Reiner Knizia, the designer behind tabletop titles such as Lost Cities, has terminated all planned releases with publishers Grail Games, Matago, and Colossal Games, which, by the way, for those who don't know, are all owned by the same company. It's owned by one. It's like the Matago group, I think, is correct. Sort of, I don't know if that's the name, but it's one group for all of those companies. Very much like Asmodee, but much, much, much more. According to Knizia Games operations manager Karen Estiel, who everybody knows, by the way, it's kind of funny, right? She is like his assistant operations manager, and at Essen, she's always there with him, managing schedules and meetings and things like that. Quote, due to multiple breaches of contract, all licenses with Grail Games, Matago, and Colossal Games have been terminated, meaning that these publishers no longer have the rights to sell our games. Estiel concluded that we, Knizia Games, very much regret that we had to take this step, but the decision to terminate licenses with Grail, Matago, and Colossal was reached, quote, to protect the exclusivity of our other business partners in their markets. Estiel's reply echoes comments they made earlier this year on Knizia's choice to cut ties with Grail Games and Matago on account of the publishers making sales in, quote, markets which had not been licensed, unquote, to them, with Colossal now reportedly earning the same treatment. So this is interesting. And again, this is, alleged by Mr. Knizia and his people that they were breaking the rules of selling games. Sometimes games will show up in another market completely, how do I say it? Not because they were sold directly into that market, but because you can't stop commerce. So if it says you can't sell into country X, but someone in country Y buys it and then brings it in, you can't stop that from happening. But they must have had enough evidence to say you're selling directly into territories, countries, or regions that you're not allowed to. So very interesting that they took back those rights so quickly.
Yeah, but I know from the past events that Dr. Reiner, he can act. And there was also a famous case in Poland when one day Dr. Reiner just posted a tweet that he is stopping cooperation with one of the Polish publishers because of some problems with the contract as well. So yes, this is a great designer, but you guys have to know that this is basically company, as Stephen mentioned. There is the assistant. There's more people involved with this Knizia brand, I would say, and they are caring for the whole brand. They are caring for the rights for different markets. And with Knizia Games, he sells the rights for different markets, to France, to Spain, to Germany, to Italy, and he has to protect these languages in these countries. And at some point, he says, stop. And that was very unfortunate. I don't know if you saw that, that just a few weeks earlier, I think there was already some discussion between Knizia and the companies, because they mentioned that they are not selling some of his games and they are removing them from the catalog because they are not selling well. And then Dr. Knizia got angry that this is not that you are losing their rights because the games are not selling well, but because you breached the contract. So I think that was unfortunate to just put the press release that was not exactly right.
Right, exactly. So here's a very interesting one. So it's Webbed Sphere Incorporated, not a company many people have heard of, acquires Flying Buffalo Incorporated, a company that many people have and should know of. So WebSphere Incorporated announced that they are acquiring Flying Buffalo Incorporated in a deal that was finalized on July 31st. Rick Loomis and his company, Flying Buffalo Incorporated, were an integral part of the development of the hobby games industry. Loomis created the play-by-mail game Nuclear Destruction in 1970 and later published the second ever RPG, Tunnels and Trolls, in 1975. So Nuclear War, Nuclear Destruction, Tunnels and Trolls was a takeoff on Dungeons and Dragons, obviously. And he was at the forefront of bringing these games out way, way, way back. Since Loomis's passing in 2019, which we've reported on. Oh, by the way, Loomis was also the president of the board of Gamma for the longest time. The future of Flying Buffalo was unclear until now, when John Ward, he owns WebSphered, stepped in to take over. And quote, Flying Buffalo and Rick Loomis hold an esteemed position in the history of gaming, and we are proud to be a part of that legacy, said Ward. Flying Buffalo will join the Toy Vault and I can't even pronounce it, Michizo brands under the WebSphere Incorporated banner. WebSphere also announced that Flying Buffalo will be an exhibitor at Gen Con and plans to release more news on upcoming products as the show approaches. So it's nice to hear that an iconic brand, now not one of the major ones for sure, some of those games that we've just mentioned are old school, but they're still in print, is still going to exist, even though Mr. Loomis passed away in 2019. So congratulations to John Ward, who he was the executive director at Gamma for several years until he left. So this is a great news for him, and congratulations to all involved.
Yeah, from my perspective, I don't know this WebSphere company, so it is hard for me to comment on the business level, but on the sentimental level. And as a gamer, we mentioned many times, I have a huge respect to the people who built the whole industry, the whole hobby. I can work in the game industry because they were building. So now if the new company is picking up this tradition, this one of the biggest brands from the past, it makes me good. It is how it should be, and it is cool that these all designs will be still in print and people can still buy them and enjoy. So
right,
hopefully it will work out, because it is very good move.
Very cool. The International Gamers Award nominations have been announced. Now, we always talk about game awards and how important they are. This is the one this and like the Dice Tower are the ones that are most focused on truly the hobby games, and they get
Gamers.
the most, right, the gamers games, they get the most buzz in that realm. And while maybe not truly influencing the bottom line sales, at least you get recognized for having a great gamers game. Eric Martin again reported on this, and some of the noted nominations in the multiplayer category: Beyond the Sun, Dune Imperium, Hall of Tower, Runes of Arnak, Nidavellier, which I saw played a lot at the Gathering of Friends. I don't know what the game is like, but I saw that being played. Anno 1800, Paleo in Praga, Caput Regini are the multiplayer nominations. A couple of great ones in the two-player category, which I thought were not necessarily two-player, like Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion. That's not really a two-player game, so I don't know why it's only in the two-player category. Interesting.
Yeah, the same for the My City, yes, the
Yep.
same for the Micro Macro. Yes.
Yeah.
It's strange.
I don't know why they put these into this category, which is interesting. But anyway, these are the games that I'm talking about. The ones at least that I know are truly excellent games. So congratulations to all those that were nominated for the IGA, International Gamers Award 2021. We'll report again on who the winners are, in an upcoming show.
Yep, and I don't know if I mentioned this in the past years in the podcast. What does it mean, these international gamers? These are geeks, in most cases, founders of some gaming clubs from different countries. And indeed, I met a couple of them. I was myself nominated a few years ago. So these are like a big gamer from Italy, big gamer from UK, big editor of the huge blog in Spain, etc. So they are the most famous geeks or gamers from different countries, and they have these internet forums when they discuss which games were nominated. The process is very interesting because some of the games are not released in every of these countries. So, for instance, there may be a geek who is from Spain, and he cannot vote on one of the games because they were not released, right, in this country. So, very interesting mix of the people from different cultures, different countries, and super legit choices, I must
Yep,
say.
absolutely. Here's an interesting one. The company Hobby World, which is by far the largest printer and publisher and game printer in Russia, is going to now distribute their own English editions, throughout the English-speaking world and wherever else that people would want them. Hobby World announced that they will distribute their own English edition games by Q2 2022, starting with Dubious. Hobby World intends to sign their games with their European and Asian partners. Sorry about that. Starting with Dubious, Hobby World intends to sign their games with their European and Asian partners, add a certain quantity to their manufacturing schedule for English editions, and have everything produced together. Hobby World will then be selling and promoting their English edition games to the US, UK, and other English-speaking countries directly, rather than using other companies to get their games into the US markets. Their games have been previously entering the US through companies like Arcane Wonders and Ultra Pro. So interesting, Hobby World, many people will not know them, but now they want to establish their own brand. Back when I was working, when I was managing, running, owning Stronghold Games, we discussed many times bringing games to the US with Hobby World, bringing their games in. We had never come to a deal. We almost did once. We never ended up doing it, but it's interesting to see this. And the one thing that I do know specifically about the way that they print their games, when they print in Russia, their games, now this is just a known thing, I'm not saying anything negative here, their games are of a much lower quality than other games that a hobby gamer would normally want. However, in Russia, that's the level of quality that's acceptable to the Russian gaming market, which is very interesting. So I'm hoping that now that they're doing their own editions, that they will up the quality to, let's call it European standards, right? I mean, that's where the hobby game industry really was created, right? In Germany and Netherlands, and it extended and extended. So I hope that Hobby World ups their game, no pun intended, and brings out a high quality product for the rest of the world. Ignacy?
Yep. Yeah, I was surprised because I didn't notice that in US they had these partners like Arcane Wonders, because in Essen they when I am coming every year to Essen, they are selling English copies of their games. So I was buying English versions of the Hobby World games, and there was a logo of Hobby World. I didn't notice that in US the situation is different, and there are different partners for their games. For our listeners, if they don't know it, the Hobby World are most known for Spyfall. This is by far their most popular game. Great social deduction game. I absolutely love it. One of the most fun and smart social deduction games. So these are the guys who created Spyfall and a couple of other games. Kudos to them. Like, they are taking the same path I took. First, I was working Z-Man Games, and then I figured out I have enough strength to try it on my own, and I started my own distribution, and it worked well for me. So hopefully it will work well for them. We will see what will happen.
Indeed. Let's get over to strategy and tactics. So JM, who's at Glass Chameleon _ this person has asked, now that you have both published Roll and Write games, it's got me thinking about something I've always wondered. Is it really that expensive to make dry erase sheets? I would think that having to print and especially ship 100 plain paper sheets versus 4 laminated ones would offset the cost a bit, since laminated sheets would take less room and weight to ship. Is the expense in including the markers as pencils? I would be very happy to have a game come with laminated sheets and no markers, as I always have plenty on hand. And on that note, I imagine most people have plenty of pencils that are better to write with than the tiny ones that come in board games. So why waste the money including any writing implements? Again, my thinking. Let me know how you think. Ignacy, what do you want to? It's a very interesting question, right? So what do you think about it?
So my personal take, I really don't like this dry erase solution. And I believe it was Hobby World 2 years ago in Essen, or other Russian company, but I think it was Hobby World who released Roll and Write with these dry erase sheets. And it was super difficult to play because, these dry erase sheets in most games, there are party games. You write something very funny, yes, and you show to other players and then you clean it, right? In a roll and write, you have to think, you have to plan. It is like a completely different approach to the game. And I have a couple of situations when I was, writing something and then accidentally with my arm,
Absolutely.
cleaning it, and then I don't know how many points I have. So besides the fact that I personally don't like these dry erase sheets, and I used in my game classical paper and pencils, I think this is not good for the strategy game. One mistake and you have the whole game ruined because you accidentally clean that.
That is an excellent point. I
Thank
would
you.
much prefer to physically write. Pencils are the best because then you can erase them too, right? If you're using an ink thing, you can't really erase it. And every time I use a dry erase marker, I will also smudge it, and then I have to refill it in. And of course it gets all over your hands. Big deal. You can wash your hands. But so to talk about the cost, just to give it a cost context, it is much cheaper to put 100, 200 sheets of paper in a box than it is to put 4 laminated sheets and 4, 5, 6 dry erase markers. Much cheaper. So paper is actually the cheapest thing that you can put into a game. So while the cost differential is not really that great, it is definitely cheaper to do it one way. And for Ignacy's reason, and I believe that most gamers want to see the paper, and then they can just go and do the lamination. I have a laminator. I laminate when I want to laminate. I laminate, and then, if I'm bringing it to a convention and I want to use all my sheets or something like that, people can then use the lamination instead. So, I think it gives you the most flexibility when you have paper. Laminate it yourself, or that. So it's just very flexible, and that's the reason that I think that we use it mostly. Stephen Bedell. He says, he's at Stephen Bedell on Board Game Geek. First, I need to say that I love the podcast. I've listened to every episode. I hope you still are. My question is about Board Game Geek pre-orders for Gen Con. Oh, look at that. Coming up. I noticed that Portal participated with the pre-order system, while Stronghold did not. I was curious about what went into the decision whether or not to participate, and if there were any problems or benefits with Portal's participation this year. Ignacy, I'll turn it over to you first again.
Yeah, that was 2019. That was, yes. I think that was the first time the BGG was trying to do that. And it was the program that they were teasing and trying for a few years, but they were never ready. And that Gen Con was the first time they were trying. And it was like an early adopters program. So they reached a couple of publishers asking them if they want to try it. We tried. I think there is a lot of potential in it. Of course, the COVID destroyed the whole conventions and the whole program stopped. But I think board game users are checking all this geek list about what's hot, what will be released, etc., and having a chance to be on this page, checking this geek list, and at the same moment just click, so I will pre-order this game. It looks interesting. It removes the friction. It removes the problem to go to different page, to going to find the publisher page. So I think there's a lot of potential in this situation.
Yep.
Back then in 2019, we didn't have many pre-orders. Like it was still starting. It was beginning of the idea. But I think in 2 or 3 years, this pre-order system for Board Game Geek will be a major part for the pre-orders for the big conventions like Essen or Gen Con.
I agree completely. At the time, Stronghold did not participate because the system was so new. It didn't really understand how it would work. And it's very important. When you get a pre-order, that means you have to manage your inventory at a convention much differently, right? So I need to keep X number of copies for those pre-orders. And that's a painful thing to do as the days go on. And when do you release it back? Like, so no one's picked it up on Sunday morning. Can I then sell it? I mean, it adds a level of complexity. I would have liked to have done it in years after this. But right now, I do not believe that Indie Game Studios is using it yet. I think it will become a bigger and bigger thing as time goes on. Chris McGowan, who's at Usana Chris, He asks about on the topic of counterfeit games, and that was brought up by both of us, and we're strongly against counterfeit games. Well, yeah, of course we are, as I imagine are most hobby gamers. Yes, it cheats the designer, the game company, the distributor, and more. We get that. You were very careful in your selection of language of the use of knowingly purchase. Well, all right. I mean, I'm not sure if there's a context behind that. I'll finish the question, then I can go back. What else can the game companies do upfront to minimize the number of counterfeit games? The Amazon verified sticker barcode for Terraforming Mars is a good start. Will we see more holograms like on baseball cards in the 90s or anti-counterfeit measures being used in production? I mean, fighting back against counterfeit sellers is a good thing, but it is difficult to do that and run a company. Have you been successful in identifying who might have copied your production files? So here's some interesting background to that. They literally like don't even copy, like usually they don't grab production files like off of a server or something like that. They scan it on the highest quality scanner they can find at like 1200 DPI or something like that. So they're making a pretty darn high quality print, and then they're using that, and they do it for everything. So that's just one thing. And sure, I mean, I'm not gonna, if some board gamer got duped into buying it, I'm not blaming them to do it. But what I am saying, and what Ignacy will say, is buy from reputable sources. So Amazon was suspect for a while and can still be suspect on some level, depending, because you got to watch, who is selling that game? Is it sold by some schmuck who has a store there? Don't buy from that person. You don't know what that copy came from, especially when it comes out of that person's warehouse, not like out of Amazon. So with Terraforming Mars, we went through the Amazon transparency program, and we had to spend money just to do it. You know, don't get me started. We talked about that already. Just watch who you're buying from. Games that are not that popular or medium popularity probably are not being counterfeited, but the biggest games are being counterfeited a lot. Don't buy on eBay. I'm just telling you, unless you see it's a gamer, he's got a couple of games he wants to get rid of, their used games or something like that. Sure, you can buy that person's used game, but don't buy new games on eBay. You do not know what you're getting. Buy from reputable sources, good online game stores in general. If you walk into, of course, friendly local game stores are buying through distribution. They'll be reputable, good sources. You could go around not caring, just looking for the cheapest price, and you could be getting a counterfeit copy, which hurts everybody except for the illegal counterfeiter. Or you can do the smallest amount of homework and buy from a reputable source and get the legitimate copy that therefore the designer gets his royalties, the publisher makes money, and they took all the risks, the distributors make money, the local game store makes money. So do your homework.
Yep.
Nothing else, Ignacy? You're gonna let me.
The same message as always. It is not worth to save $10 for you to possibly support the illegal action. This is as simple as that. Like it really is not worth to save $5 or $10 and buy on a sale. No, just buy the game in a local game store and support the industry.
Very good. Very, very good. Let's get over to our play testing segment. So Ignacy, I have to tell you, I could not even understand what your question was, so I could not really change it yet.
That way we may have two questions, because one that you imagined I wanted to ask, and the one that I really wanted to ask. So we will have the content for 2 episodes.
Why don't you read the question, and then I will rephrase it for you to put on.
Yeah, so I will explain it in a longer form, and then you will squeeze it in the one sentence.
All right.
So in many podcasts, almost every other time, we say that the Game Workshop is one of the biggest partners in the industry, and Wizards of the Coast, and these 3 big fundamentals of our hobby is Magic the Gathering, the big collectible card game, the Dungeons and Dragons, the most famous role-playing game that started everything, and Warhammer 40K or Warhammer Battle as these big miniature games, the most famous ones. And my question today is, for you board gamers, because board gaming is a little bit different than CCGs, than role-playing games and the miniature games. You board gamers, which of these three big pillars, our brothers and sisters of our hobby, did you play? Did you play Dungeons and Dragons? Did you play Magic the Gathering? Did you play Warhammer 40k or Warhammer Fantasy Battle?
So I'm going to, I'm trying to, I'm trying to correct it fast enough.
You are my ghostwriter.
So basically you're talking about three specific games, right? Dungeons and Dragons, Magic the Gathering, and Warhammer 40k.
Do you have them on your circle that you play them, that you know them?
Okay, I kind of got it here. I think this is what it is. I will let you talk about it, and then I'll continue fixing it up. But so for me, of the three games there, I talk about D&D all the time. So, and I've been playing D&D forever. I mean, since I was in like high school, or late high school, which of course, as you know, I'm older. So that goes into the late 1970s. And Magic the Gathering, when it first came out, I started playing, I guess I think I bought Revised or third edition. I forgot which one came. So third edition came out and then Revised came out. So I bought the first one of those and then stayed playing, never competitively. I never played competitively Magic the Gathering. Just not my thing. You know, it was a little too cutthroat for me. And I've never played Warhammer 40k or any of the Games Workshop games. So interestingly, while I like to think I'm an omni gamer and I've played just about everything, miniatures games, as in like the ones where you buy the sets of miniatures and then you make and you create your list and you bring them out onto the battlefield. I've never done any of that. I've only done lesser known games, Pirates of the something Seventh Sea or something, where you bought them, you constructed them, and you put them onto
from Mike Serinker. I remember that.
You remember that game? Yeah, I played that a little bit, not that long. I played a little bit of that, but never any other real miniatures games. Ignacy, which of the pillars? That's a good way of putting it. Not fundamentals. Which of the pillars of our hobby have you played?
There is a game called Pillars of the Earth. This is my knowledge about the words. I know only the words that are connected with the games. Anyway, I played a ton of miniature games. So obviously I played Warhammer 40k, I played Warhammer Fantasy, I played Necromunda, and all these Games Workshop games. So that was a big part of my life in a hobby. I played a little bit of Magic the Gathering because my son liked the games. I played with him casually at home. I don't know, like 20, maybe 30 times. So a little bit only. And for Dungeons and Dragons, of course, I'm a huge role-playing gamer, and I started my whole career in the industry as a role-playing gamer and writer. But for Dungeons and Dragons, I played them only once. That was my birthday game session run by Chevy Dodd 2 years ago. As a birthday gift, he ran a Dungeons and Dragons session. So from these three pillars, Dungeons and Dragons are not on my list. Like I really played many times.
Very, very cool. So we are now asking you about these three games: Dungeons and Dragons, Magic the Gathering, and Warhammer 40k. And Ignacy is going to create a thread for you to answer our question to you about which of these have you played, and maybe which of these do you continue to play in modern gaming. And all of them are still in print, and all of them are doing very well. So hopefully you're playing some. Tell us about it. Go over to the Guild on Board Game Geek and find our play testing thread for this question and answer us. In the meantime, the final scoring. Thank you all for listening. Help us spread the word about this podcast by telling your friends to download Board Games Insider wherever they like to get their podcasts. To ask us questions for our strategy and tactics segment, you must post them in the correct guild, in the correct thread in our Guild on Board Game Geek to answer our question to you from our play testing segment. Also, go to our Guild on Board Game Geek and look for the thread with this episode's question. Board Games Inside has a Facebook page, so please like us on Facebook. Also, on Facebook, please like Ignacy's page and Stephen's page, which is /Portal Publishing and /Podfather Gaming. Our websites are portalgamesus.com and podfathergaming.com. Go there, sign up for the newsletters, and get up to the minute information on what's happening at Portal Games and with the Podfather. On social media, speak directly to Ignacy and Stephen on Twitter, which is at Portal Games US and at Podfather Gaming, same on Instagram. And on YouTube, the channel names, very active, are Portal Games Movies, Portal Games Gameplays, and the Podfather of Gaming. We hope to see you soon as COVID breaks at one of these upcoming conventions. Meanwhile, Board Games Insider was professionally edited by Matthew Jude from This Game is Broken podcast. If you'd like him to edit your podcast, please contact him on Twitter or email at thisgameisbrokenpodcast@gmail.com. Also, that great voice you hear doing our intro, outro, and in-between segments is that of Ray Greenlee. He can be contacted to do voiceover work at raygreenleevoiceover.com. Ignacy, that brings us to the end of the episode. I did promise something.
The best part of the episode, I think.
It's sometimes.
And I must say, we used to have this podcast as a 30-minute podcast, and now we are recording 1 hour. And when you start your round, it will take another half an hour. So yes, the floor is yours.
Well, it won't take that long because you're not going to comment, and I don't blame you for not comment because Ted Lasso, the Ted Lasso of board gaming, is going negative here. So let me tell you the story of Great Western Trail. Stronghold Games had a contract with Eggertspiele signed in August of 2016 to sell Great Western Trail through the end of year 2018, which would then have normally been renewed, but that's not really relevant to the story. End of year 2018, we were allowed to sell the game. We attempted to do a third printing of Great Western Trail in early 2017, but we were told that we could not due to the impending sale of Eggertspiele. That alone is a breach of contract, not permitting us to sell in the language and territories for which we were contracted. We requested a massive reprint, by the way, of 20,000 units due to the demand and would have printed alone because, normally you print with partners to reduce the cost. But if you're at 20,000 units, that's 3 full containers worth. We could have easily printed alone, not a problem. We were denied to be able to print after multiple requests. In April 2017, we were informed by Eggertspiele that the company was being sold to Plan B Games, which of course meant to us and to anyone that understands contract law that we would continue to be able to print and sell Great Western Trail until at least the contract reached its term, which, as I just stated, would be end of year 2018. Okay, fine. I'm a big boy. That's the way business works. When you're an honest person, that's the way business works. Note my adjective there. We met with Plan B Games, and they said once the contract with Eggertspiele was done, that we could continue to print and sell the games. I smelled a rat here, and that rat was the management of Plan B Games. But I had to go along here and play this little game for a while. The sale of Eggertspiele to Plan B Games was completed in the summer of 2017. As I surmised, Plan B says, no, you cannot print the games, and that, quote, I should talk to Eggertspiele about this, and Stronghold Games' contract is with them, not with Plan B Games. Absurd. When you buy an asset, you buy the asset with all attached contracts. We sued Plan B Games in 2018 in U.S. Federal Court, Southern District of Indiana. This was reported on BGG. I didn't comment about it, of course, and I actually apologize to everybody because, as most people who know me know, Ignacy being one of them, I am the most honest person you're going to deal with in your life. I tell you the truth. I try not to hide things in any way, but obviously this one was really sensitive. I couldn't speak publicly about it. There is mandatory arbitration in Indiana before you actually go into court. So we met with the presiding judge and the lawyers for both parties and a representative of Plan B Games in Indianapolis for a full day in late 2018 or early 2019. I don't remember the exact date. Both parties came to a settlement before we went to court. And while I'm not permitted to disclose the terms of the settlement, I can say this very clearly. I am very pleased with the settlement. So, as you can read between the lines on that, anything you want, very pleased with the settlement. So I will state clearly, 99.5% of the people in this industry are great people. They're wonderful. They're honest. They want to do just business where everything makes sense to people and they honor contractual obligations. And there are 5% that are crappy people. And the management of Plan B Games at the time are crappy people. Ignacy, I know you're not going to comment on that, and I wouldn't if I was you, but I stand by that statement. I stand by that statement 100% that they are crappy people, the management at the time, and the one person whose name came up before, who is still now over at Z-Man Games. Yes, really unscrupulous person.
I had internet connection problems and I didn't hear what you said, so I cannot comment.
So there you go, everybody. The Ted Lasso of board gaming can be negative when it's needed. And that was my, negativity for this episode. And hopefully most of the time, 99.5% of the time, I am not. I'm the most positive person you know. But you've now heard the whole story. The only way to know more is to look at the signed settlement, in my closet, in my file over here.
Next time you will hear Stephen being negative is the next decade. So meet us in 2031.
Thanks everybody for listening. We'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Oh, hold on.